itself. The surgeon wanted to bellow at someone, but the pharmacist had stepped out to hand medicine to an old woman with a porous spine, who visited the clinic every week with her unending complaints, and the farmer just sat there, with his eyes clenched and his bloody arm extended before him. There was no one at whom the surgeon could holler, "Why is there a filthy cockroach in my operating room? Am I supposed to play the exterminator around here as well? Mortar the cracks in the tiles, pack the walls with poison?" The numbness in his fingers made the surgeon realize how hard he was gripping his forceps. He tried not to pour his anger into the needle and suture, but the more the cockroach scampered, the louder the farmer puffed into his turban. Then, after a stab that the surgeon himself thought regrettably brutal, the farmer gasped and raised his wet eyes. The surgeon slammed down his instruments and marched to the wall. The roach darted away. The surgeon stamped, but twice, thrice, it dodged him. Then, he suspended his leg in the air, waited until the cockroach stopped running around, and, when the moment was right, ground it under his heel. The rest of the suturing he completed without interruption. Just when he'd started to wonder if the pharmacist had fallen down a well, she returned to help him bandage the forearm. He wrote out a prescription for a tetanus vaccine and a course of antibiotics. The farmers outside the room had all left, except for one, who snapped up from his haunches as soon as the surgeon walked out into the corridor. "You're the culprit, aren't you?" "I'm sorry. I swear on my mother, I didn't cut him on purpose. I didn't see—" "Go buy these things from the city pharmacy. There should be a train leaving in 15 minutes. "As you say, Dr. Sahib." The man bowed and ran off. The surgeon called the pharmacist, who'd left the operating room after bandaging the man's arm. "Sterilize my instruments and fumigate the room." "Tonight?" "Yes, tonight." "But, Sahib, there'll be children here tomorrow. For the polio drops." "Children? What do they have to do with this? There's a dead cockroach in there, and God knows how many live ones hiding in the walls. A cockroach in my operating room. What a disgrace. Only in this bloody clinic." The pharmacist winced as the door slammed in her face. Perhaps Sahib's back was troubling him again. She peeled away a fleck of rust from the edge of a metal tray and gathered the used instruments and the drape from the operating room on it. Sahib had clearly spent some energy in flattening the cockroach, and it took her some time to scrub its remains off the floor. A line of ants had already started to form, so she swept and mopped the rest of the room as well. Then she taped shut every gap she could find in the windows, all the cracks in the frames, the spaces around their blunt, rounded corners. From the cabinet under the sink, she pulled out a large beaker and set it in the middle of the room. She poured the formalin halfway up to the black line. The clinic would be unbearable the next day if she filled it all the way. After confirming that she hadn't dropped anything in the room, especially not her Mangal Sutra, she added a few tablespoons of permanganate to the beaker. The mixture started bubbling, and she hurried out with a roll of tape and sealed the door behind her. "What about the vaccines?" the surgeon called from his consultation room. "Have they been delivered?" "No, not yet, Sahib. They were going to come today." "Then what are we supposed to do for the polio drive? Spray the children with rose water? Worthless, all of them. Some lazy official must have spent the day eating mutton at his aunt's place instead of delivering the cases. If he isn't here by tomorrow morning, I swear I'll file complaints in the head office every week till they fire him." He emerged, the newspaper rolled in his hand like a policeman's club. "I'm going. If patients come for me and they aren't dying, tell them to return tomorrow." "Yes, Sahib." A full bladder pulled the surgeon from sleep, and the rattle of the ceiling fan kept him from returning to it. The fan wasn't loud, but it had a maddening rhythm, a monotonous creaking pulse. He thought about prisoners who'd reportedly lost their sanity after enduring such things, dripping water and the like. Who knew if those tales were even true? At this hour, they sounded plausible. It was almost exactly 3 years since he'd come to this place. 3 years in these rooms, in the tiny quarters adjoining the clinic.